Greetings humans, Zbot4096 here, with a review of the just released 4K disc, where did we put it? Here, of Snowpiercer! Yes! And my, you humans do love the destitution of the post-apocalypse, but, as it so happens, we love that you love it. Yes. And especially in the hands of Bong Joon-ho, who not only wrote and directed Snowpiercer, but went on to write and direct our pick for Best Picture 2019, Parasite. Yes, it's that guy, same guy. Oh, and the dad from Parasite, yeah, who is Song Kang-ho, is the gate technician playing opposite Captain America. Oh, we mean Chris Evans, who is decidedly more nuanced this time in the role of protagonist Curtis Everett. And the fact that we know these actors so much better in 2024 than we did in 2013 when Snowpiercer released in theaters makes this film an extra special treat to come back to watch now. But before we get to that time-space point, there's the more obvious point to cover off, which is that this is a political allegory film about the haves and have-nots, with the preposterous setting that the few hundred surviving humans from the 2014 Ice Age are hurtling along in a class-separated supertrain, but it lands more with the immediacy and brutality of a George Orwell novel than some other cringy sci-fi star vehicle loosely painting in the totalitarian future plot. Like, say, we shouldn't name any films. Aeon Flux that we may or may not have tried to watch recently. But, in fact, it does echo many of the themes of the novel 1984, George Orwell's novel, and those themes being this physical and psychological control over identity, where the individual cannot resist the forces of fear and guilt to break free, which is bleak, yes, but also we are not saying that that is the outcome here. Let's just say these are the forces in play. And the delights of the ruling class in the film Snowpiercer are, on the one hand, absurd and something we can point at and laugh at, like the extreme plastic surgery in Brazil, or the overeating to vomiting and the flamboyant beard styles in the Hunger Games. But they are also eerily on point to the ever-growing disparity within actual human civilization today, where one class enjoys fine sushi and spa treatments and EDM clubbing, the kind of thing, while being dazily annoyed at the riffraff who sometimes come through their entitled spaces. Now, scenes like that in Snowpiercer feel real and penetrate the science fiction movie framing, reminding you of episodes you yourself have experienced, and if you're practicing some degree of self-awareness, is that us? Actually done ourselves. Now, we're not here to point digits, and neither is the film really. The film isn't really done with us at that point. And like Joon-ho's brilliant later film Parasite, the revolutionary zeal of the downtrodden also reveals a dark side as part and parcel of their narrative. There's no quick and easy answers here, and that makes it a truly riveting and engrossing story. Now, if you are like us, you may find yourself hung on the concept of the train itself. How does it possibly have the resources shown in the film? How does the diameter of the train reconcile with some of the interiors of the compartments shown? It's It's like the Galileo 7 shuttlecraft from Star Trek, which looks huge on the inside, but Spock has to bend down to exit and enter if you see it from any external shot. Well, the answer, like with Star Trek, is to note that this doesn't make sense, okay, and file that note in a file folder on an external drive. If that file folder needs to be accessed more to store more such logical discrepancies at a pre-established threshold, let's say 5%, then we can restore that folder to RAM and process it. Now, in the meantime, we give science fiction a 5% buffer of incredulity to spend during the story. World building is hard, and we need to reward the effort with some slack. And so we do that here. We note the practical operation of the train here, because we cannot help it. It's you know, it's us. It's what we do. Oh, and we observe it, yes. And we also let it go, because the rest of the film absolutely delivers. Now let's get into that. Here's where we return to the time-space effect, where seeing it again today offers more nuance. For us, we were captivated by the story efficiency, the darkness of the presentation, and the surprisingly goofy presentation of the horror. Much like Terry Gilliam's approach with Brazil, it takes a Monty Python-esque approach to make a 1984 land as a film. Now, 1984 has been a film already, this one, with John Hurt as the lead, Winston Smith. It's not a coincidence that he returns to face the crush of the totalitarian state in the microcosm of a train. Let's see. This time, where did it go? There he is. There he is as Winston Smith. Look how young he looks. My gosh. He looks like he's a little worse for wear from, having an alien burst out of his chest. But he's doing very well here. He seems to have gotten over that. It was apparently just a flesh wound. And so John Hurt is returning as the older, wiser voice of the resistance here in Snowpiercer. And there are dozens of 1984 touches throughout the film, from the Big Brother-esque aggrandizement of and fealty to the train's leader, the repeating indoctrination of the state's preferred version of history that is ritualized in 1984 at the 2-minute hate, and appears here as a school kid level set of TV shorts, like the How a Bill Becomes Law thing. Even the tiny details have echoes here, where a severed human hand is discarded like garbage. And yes, the film is that gruesome, but it does so to make a point about the degradation of the value of individuals. And when they do it in service to ideology and the state. One can blame the state, but one's complacency, all the other individuals who are operating on behalf of the elite class, their complacency and obedience enable that very same state. So even if there are those grumbling in that level, they are part of the system. It is one of the truisms of sentient beings across the galaxy that we need to continuously scan ourselves and work on ourselves to make certain that we are not part of the problems we see around us. Now, all of this from a movie about crazy people on a crazy train in a crazy future. Yes, all of that from this. This is why we love science fiction. It gives us the freedom to tell a bigger story without being too on the nose. And good science fiction reveals itself further the more you think about it. And this film is good science fiction. Now, as for the disc, where did it go? It's at the bottom of the pile now. Oh, here we go. This is also a good disc. Now, most of the film, let's take a look at this interior art. Well, we can barely see the interior art, but let's pop these out for your enjoyment. Oh, I can never get this one out. It's always buried back here. But it's a view of the train hurtling along. Here's what the back looks like. Quite amazing. Love it, love it. Now, well, that's just the packaging. But let's talk about the file itself, the disc itself. Now, most of the film is dark, and it can be very challenging to avoid noise in a dark film, both in terms of originally the film grain and then the compression when it comes to a home video format. Now, wonderfully, this film looks surprisingly crisp and clear. The deep black reproduction is satisfying and looks as good as we recall from seeing it in the theater in 2013. Now, having said that, there are some exterior digital effects that consume some of the credibility buffer of the film, in that the ice doesn't quite look real from time to time. Now, this does diffuse the realism of the internal train scenes and the excellent set design of the more ornate compartments. Furthermore, there was indeed a digital intermediate used to combine the live action and CGI elements of the film in production, which, given the year the film was made, was likely a 2K intermediate. And, just based on the immense costs and time of rendering, processing, and storing 4K cinema quality visual effects, we think it's a 2K intermediate. Now, given that, this 4K disc is certainly better looking than any previous version of the film, but is likely not competing with a pure 4K pipeline film landing on UHD today. Now, having said that, the new Atmos audio track is amazing and truly immersive. Given the story is on a train, and much of that storytelling has to do with elements in front of you, but also behind you, and to the left of you, and to the right of you, and noticeably above you. Here, watching this movie, visualizing inside multiple rectangular boxes in linear sequence, we can say with glee that the sound experience faithfully matches that visual experience. It fits together. It is component assembler's kiss perfection. And so, given the as good as it can be 4K home video version of a truly fresh and modern take on the warning about complicity with a totalitarian future, while granting an exception to the flawed logic of what we're looking at, we render the 4K UHD disc of Snowpiercer our highest rating. And so concludes the human version of our review. If you have feedback on it, please write in your own comments so that we can upload the galactic version to Zoggplex. And in the meantime, you can expect more discussions and reviews of theatrical movies, streaming shows. In fact, if you're expecting this one to be The Skeleton Crew, sit tight. And 4K home video releases as we continue to engage with your human rectangular content. So please watch, like, subscribe, that's going to be our subscribe symbol, and comment so that we can continue to have the human voice reflected in the cosmos. Ooh. Space. So, Until next time, farewell, humans.